So let us just start with prayer. Lord, we are so grateful that we can be here today. We are happy that it's a good day in Brussels and that you've already blessed this morning with the outreach and with the books that have been distributed. And I know, Lord, that those people that will actually open those books and read those lines, that those lines will come alive and will address them and speak to their hearts and their minds. And Lord, please, may the Holy Spirit go with every one of those so that it can convict and address, speak to, so that people can understand it's necessary to make decisions, to stand up for you. Thank you, Lord, that you will also work with us and let us understand the importance of what we are going to do and how necessary it is that we do that. So I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen. Well, we can start off by saying we are to work as we have never worked before. We are to seek every opportunity of drawing souls to Christ. The Lord is coming very soon, and we are entering into scenes of calamity. You have to be almost blind not to see this happening right in front of your faces, because that is exactly what is happening around us today. This world is heading into an absolute calamitous situation. One of the first things that I was told when I came into Brussels, when Eugene fetched me at the airport, we were driving along, and he said, "Oh, by the way, here's the European Union Parliament," or something like that. I can't, yes, that's right. Anyway, and one of the things that happened is just in this time, there was a guy that came and addressed that Parliament. He made an absolutely impressive speech. His name is Dr. Martin. Anybody know Dr. Martin? Okay, he's an American. He was one of the very few people that right in the beginning of the COVID pandemic, he sort of raised his voice and said, "No, no, no, this is a no-no." And people, of course, almost hung him on a cross and nailed him there. The other guy that was in his category, and they spoke often together, is a guy with the name of Dr. Corey, Dr. Pierce Corey. So probably you know now who I'm speaking about. It's Corey and Martin. Martin came and spoke to the people here. And guess what? The facts on the table is that the pandemic started way back then in 1966. And we thought it was like, oh no, it was 2018, 2019. No, it was 1966. And at that time, nobody spoke out against what they were doing, because nobody quite understood what they were getting at. That's when gain of function research started, and it was supposed to be stopped, and it was never stopped. 1966. And unfortunately for us, they registered something called WIV01 was registered way back in the 60s. Listen very carefully, WIV01. Like ring bells? Wuhan Institute for Virology, COVID variation 01. I don't know, here in Belgium, I wasn't around. I was a young boy. I was certainly not interested in what I'm interested in now. But in 1975, WIV01 hit the world big time. Before that time, we had the common cold, influenza, stuff like that. And all of a sudden, 1975 in South Africa, you guys might remember, 1975 in South Africa, virus 01 hit the world. And we had inoculations or vaccinations. Maybe you remember the police had to stand up in queues at John Foster Plain. All police force members and all military force members. It's before you, okay, before you were born, 1975. They had to be vaccinated by virus number 1. They patented the spike protein way back then. But apparently the spike protein only, came into existence in 2008. No, they patented it already because they found out that that was one of the things that they can do. Actually, what they were busy doing is they were weaponizing a virus to use to, kill off people. That's basically what they were doing. Dr. Martin has just this week done the presentation here in Brussels. While I am here, he's just done that. An amazing speech. If you want to see the full speech, I have got the link. I can send it to you. It's absolutely amazing. He's got all the facts, all the dates, every single one of them. He's got what has happened. When they actually did a moratorium on the gain of function research, guess what? There was this moratorium, but guess what? The Wuhan Institute of Virology was given an exemption. They didn't have to stop their research because they were pre-funded. They already had the funding. That's the facts. He put the facts on the table here in Brussels. It's quite surprising what has occurred. It's amazing. The meeting was to discuss this whole thing. And his call at this meeting was for people to stop this research in totality. I certainly hope they've listened. I don't know what the outcome of the meeting was. I still want to find out. But I certainly hope they've listened to him, because it's not good. It was never good. The intentions were never good. But why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because this is one person that was willing right from the start to fight and to stand for what they believed in. And they were tracking the science, the real science. And they were checking the documentation. And they were correlating and cross-checking up to the point where he could come back this time and address them and produce all the facts, albeit a little bit late, but there it is. It's quite interesting that we have people like this that are willing to stand up in a time where calamity is facing us, because quite frankly, the pandemic was quite a calamity. I don't know how it affected you here. I don't stay here, but I can tell you it was disaster for my country. Namibia is absolutely dependent on tourism. It's one of the 3 major contributions to general domestic product, the GDP in Namibia. And tourism in Namibia stopped completely. There's nothing. There were other countries that made all kinds of things possible for their people. But in Namibia, we don't have the funding, we don't have the money, we don't have the, we just don't have the volumes. It's as simple as that. It just stopped. It killed off a lot of jobs. It put a lot of people out of work. It was disastrous for the country, quite frankly. Business was not good. Lots of people are, even now, not recovered after that. So that was not nice. It was everything but nice. It was a calamity. And from there onwards, it seems like the entire world has just gone like really crazy. One of the things that I found absolutely tragic was I was looking at a spelling competition. Small kid, probably, grade 5, grade 6, around about there. He was in the spelling competition. And the first word that they asked him to spell was woman. And he put up his hand. He said, I've got a question. They said, what? I said, can you define woman? He said, then I'll spell it. If you can define woman for me, I'll spell it. To me, that was a tragic moment. When a kid, what's it, 9 years old, 10 years old, 11 years old maybe? When that kid says, I'm so confused, I don't know what a woman is. Please define a woman for me. The world has just gone out of sync. And so we are in a calamitous situation. And it tells us, it's screaming at us actually, Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming. It's screaming around us. And we have to make sure that we take every opportunity to draw souls to Christ, because the time we just don't have. The time has run out. Now, we have natural laws. I understand them a little bit because I live on a farm. I'm not a farmer, unfortunately. I wish today I was a little bit more of a farmer. My dad knew about these things, but when I was a boy, I thought social life was a lot more important than listening to my dad. So I never spent the time with my dad that I should have. My dad knew how to grow vegetables. My dad knew about a lot of things that I just unfortunately don't know because I didn't spend that time with my dad. It was much more important to be with my friends. And now, of course, I wish I did spend the time with my dad, because then I would have known a little bit better, because now I've got to fight all these termites and all these bugs and that's eating my vegetables, and I don't like that because I want to eat the vegetables. I don't want them to eat the vegetables. So it's a big sort of fight. But in this natural law, there's something that we do understand. I cannot harvest if I have not sown. If I haven't put seed in the ground, there's just no way I'm going to harvest anything. I just came from Serbia, and in Serbia I visited the pastor's mother, and she has a cherry tree in her garden, so she gave me cherry pips. And she said, I can plant them, they will grow. And I said, okay, that's great. Now I went from Serbia to Namibia, and then I thought, okay, maybe that's not going to be that easy, because, it's winter in the north and it's summer in the south, and, is this going to affect it? And how has the seeds been affected by this? And they said, no, that's not your biggest problem, but you need to know how to plant them. I said, okay, I put them in the ground. So what's that? I said, no, it's not that easy. Cherry trees don't work like that. Cherry trees you can plant in the winter. That's okay. You can put them in the ground. That's fine. But if you don't plant them in the winter, if you wait till the spring, no, you have got to put them in warm water. Not hot, but warm. And then when it's out of the warm water, you've got to wait for them to dry. And then when it's dry, you've got to put it in the freezer. Then when it's in the freezer, you've got to take it out of the freezer, and then you've got to heat it up again. And then you can plant it. There's a whole process, because this cold in the winter and that's a very important thing. So it's not just a question of sowing, but it's a question of knowing how to sow. And so these are things that are important. But if you don't sow it, that little tree is never going to come out of the ground. It's just going to stay in there. And maybe some squirrel will get it or something like that. I don't know. But we have to sow. Sowing is the hard and the expensive part. That's the part that we don't like. We like the harvesting. We like the eating of fruit. As a young boy, I remember with my dad's garden, we had a lot of fruit trees. And it was fun just getting up into the peach trees and eating the peaches out of the tree, or the figs, or whatever was ripe at the time, grapes, whatever it was. And it was great fun of getting the stuff and just eating it. But that's the good part. But the bad part is sowing it, nurturing it, cutting it whenever it's necessary, pruning, whatever. There's a long and a hard part of making sure that we get to that. And of course, there is this thing that there is no harvest if there's no preparation that has been done. And the optimum results come from painstaking cultivation. It's a hard job. It's quite a job. I am fortunate. I have got a man who has decided to come and work for me. And I am absolutely thankful to the Lord that he has done that, because he understands a little bit more about planting than I do. And so Yanni is my expert. Yanni does everything, and whatever Yanni tells me, I do. It's very simple because Yanni knows. So we do, and we are fortunate. We've had some really good stuff in our first season. We've had some spinach, and we've had some corn, and I've had some carrots and some beetroot, and we had some green peppers that turned yellow in the end. I don't know how that happened, but they were green and then they were yellow, and whatever it is, they taste good. And we've had some potatoes and sweet potatoes and all kinds of stuff like that. So I'm very happy about that. Law of the harvest is much seed. If we plant much seed, we have a good harvest, a great harvest. Little seed, well, we're only going to have a little harvest. And there's no seed, well, no harvest at all. That's pretty much how it is. So I want to talk about field preparation a little bit, because the app is very nice and it's good to work with the app, and we will do some practical work a little bit later, and we will have some questions, stuff like that. But if you only going to think that this app is going to do a miracle for you, well, think again. The app's not going to be the miracle. That's just the tool. It's a hard work that you have to do. So every church has to be organized for soul winning. Every church member must be have an assigned post of duty. Every home must be visited by the church members, and every person must be acquainted with the Adventist message. That is the hard part of the work. Now, for my own church back in Namibia, they have to know every one of the 28 fundamental principles. I check them and I test them and I talk to them all the time, and they have to know at least 3 or 4 texts. If I want to know about the state of the dead, I can say to them, give me some texts on the state of the dead. And they will, because they know it. I drill it into them. I want them to know. They have to understand what we believe in. They have to understand where we are, because whenever you go, you're going to land up with somebody that's going to ask you that question. Sometime, a person is going to ask you a question, and then you sit there. And you know what happens to me all the time? All the time I get WhatsApps. Oh, Pastor, can you please help me? I've just had this question. And I think, well, how did you get baptized? It's actually something you're supposed to know. But how come you're asking me? But of course I help them, but that's what's going through my mind. Because they should know. And so I check my church members. They should know. We should know our message. And we should visit not only our church members, but we should visit the members of our church family, because not all of them are Adventists. Sometimes the wife is an Adventist, the husband isn't. The mother is, the rest of the family is. The father is, the rest of the family isn't. We need to visit them. One of the things that happened I was in Croatia doing the training, and I was speaking about this and talking about all this kind of thing, and the people said, well, that's not necessary. I said, what do you mean it's not necessary? I said, well, it's not necessary. I said, well, it is necessary. And so, just as it happens, God always opens up these doors, God really knows what he's doing. And he always opens up these doors. So, I was asked to be the speaker at the 10-day prayer meeting there in Croatia. And so, we went from the training session to the church, but we were a little bit early, and so we visited one of the church members. And we sat there talking, and they had a good conversation. It was a husband, wife, and son. And the son said, oh, he loves Walter Fight. And I said, oh, well, Walter Fight is a friend of mine. It's nice. And he says, he went to Austria. And I said, oh, really? You did all that trouble to go to see? Yeah, I went to see Walter Fight. Oh, that's fantastic. Did you accept the message because of Walter Fight? No, but I really like him. I listen to all his stuff. Okay. And you? No, this is the wife. No, we love Walter Fight. No, I didn't get into the church because of him, but we love him. That's fine. Okay. And I go to the husband. I said, you? No, I'm not a church member. Oh. But now I've got all the pastors sitting there with me. I've just spoken to them about this. And God has just opened up the door. I said, oh, so you're not a church member. So tell me, don't you like the church or what? No, I like the church. Nothing wrong with the church. Oh. So maybe there's some of the doctrine of the church? No, I agree with all the doctrine of the church, even Ellen White. I said, oh, really? I said, is there anything that's stopping you from being a church member? No, nothing at all. I said, well, can I arrange a baptismal service for Sabbath? Is it okay if we baptize you Sabbath? Oh, he says, I'll be grateful. So we walk out the door. The pastor says, how did you do that? I said, what do you mean, how did I do that? I did nothing. He told me he's not a church member. I asked him, why didn't you want to be in the church? But I would not have known if I didn't come and visit him. Do you get the point? You visit them. If you don't visit them, you're not going to find that out. And if you don't ask them, well, they're not going to, why will they answer a question that's not been asked? So that's how it is. And it helps if every church member is assigned a post of duty so that you know what it is. We're going to talk about those posts in a minute. It's very important for a church to be set up this way. So that's how you make sure that your church is organized for soul winning. So here is some of the jobs that you should have in your church. And every one of you should have a job. You should know what your job is. So we need a prayer team. That's the most important thing. By the way, all evangelism, and cell phone evangelism is no exception. My cell phone evangelists know that. We start with prayer, we work with prayer, we end with prayer. That's how it is. Sorry, ma'am. You just say, get out of the way, Neville. That's fine. But you've got that one on your little stick. It's there. That's the most important thing. I have a prayer team wherever I go. It's on. I've got a WhatsApp prayer team. And so I can, at any one point in time, I can say to them, yes, the one I've got at the moment. And it says, right, this is what's happening. I can tell them exactly what I'm doing. I can tell them where I am. And I can say to them, pray for me. I told you about, did I tell you or did I tell no, I told the Ghanaian church. I was in Austria, and there's a lady by the name of Donna in that church, lovely lady in that church. I think you know her, maybe Jan. Wonderful lady, wonderful voice, but she has a problem. She was demon possessed, and so they asked me to pray for her. And I did. But before I prayed for her, I could quickly go on my WhatsApp and say to my prayer supporting team, listen, I'm going into a very dangerous situation now. I need your backup. I need you on your knees right now. And that allows me, because now I know I'm covered. and now I can go into the fight. Not that I have to do anything. Deliverance is not this thing that the Pentecostals do. This is something else that's very important, but we will speak about that in a minute. But so the prayer team is a very important thing. They pray for me, and I feed them with the stuff that I need praying for. So I will tell them, pray, we're going out for visitation. I want doors to be open. Make sure that the people are not chased away, so that they are not afraid when they come back and say, I'm never going out visiting again because I've been chased away, or a dog bit me, or something like that. Make sure that everything goes smooth. Pray, please pray. And I will do this for all kinds of things. I'll tell them when I'm busy with a sermon that's particularly important on the state of the dead, for instance, and stuff like that, and say, hey, listen, I need your prayer backup. This is a serious sermon. The devil's not going to like this. Pray for me. And so your prayer team is an important part of what you do. You have to have that prayer team set up. And your prayer team has to have a leader that really knows what's going on. So we've got a little prayer training module, and if you want it, I can send it to you, but where we deal with the different types of prayer, the Acts model, which I'm sure that you know, and the Sanctuary model, and the Our Father model, and stuff like that. And we've got all these models, and we show people how it works, and how they can use it. But it makes it interesting, and there's like this dynamic that goes on within the prayer team, and they pray together and fast together and so on. So a prayer team is pretty important, with a strong prayer leader. That's an important thing. Then we need a friendship team. People that are going to build friendships. That's very, very important, because if we get people in here, we immediately want to get them settled within friendships. So that's pretty important. We want an interest coordinator. That used to be a position that was in the church. I don't know why that position has disappeared, but a lot of places don't have that position in their churches anymore. But that used to be one that was on the nominations committee. You should have actually voted and got somebody like that. That is an absolute necessity in a church, because you have got to build an interest file. And when somebody like Jan comes, or myself, or Paul, whoever's going to come in September, or whatever, Louis Torres, or even Ted Wilson, it doesn't matter. But the first thing that we're going to ask you is, where is your interest file? That can be on your computer, that's fine, doesn't matter. But we want to see, where's your interest file? Because in your interest file, we have got names, and we've got telephone numbers, we've got email addresses, and that's the people who we're going to invite. So we need that. That's pretty important. The interest coordinator has got to make sure. They've got to find out who is the family members in your family that you want to reach. What are their names? What are their telephone numbers? Put them on the interest file. The prayer team has got to pray for them in the meantime. Your friends, the other people that you meet per accident in your work, that kind of thing. Those are the people that need to be on the interest file, that can be invited. Okay, then we need people that will send out invitations. You know, we can't wait, and then all of a sudden we've got like a massive big thing, and then it's like too much work for one. But if you send out invitations, you've got people that work on this, then they all have their lists, and it's very quickly to do and get these things done. The house-to-house visitation team. Visitations are an absolute must. That's the way things work. And I know, again, we have a lot of people that tell us when we come into Europe especially, they say, oh no, visitations don't work. You know, people are going to chase you away. They're not even going to open the door. And they've got like 120 different things that they tell you why it's not going to work. But guess what? It works. People still open doors for you. You'll be amazed, but they do. You knock on the door, you tell them who you are, they open the door. We have simple ways of going about it. We've got a survey. I have got a religious survey that I use, but there's many others that you can use. I use a religious survey. So when I go house to house visitation, I tell them, listen, I'm from Adventist World Radio. I need your assistance just for 2 minutes. I won't waste more than 2 minutes of your time. 2 minutes, tops. That's what I need. I need to go through the survey so that I can see what the needs are in this area so that I can do the programming for the radio station that we're going to set up. And I need to understand what it is so that I can serve the community best. And they say, okay, fine. 2 minutes is fine. I'll help you. And they come and they open the door and say, come in. I say, no, I don't want to come in, thanks. I certainly don't want to come into your house. That's fine. We can just do it right here. And right outside there, I ask him the questions, and I mark it off. And every now and again, he gives me a little bit more information than I've asked for. And if it's important information, I write it up at the top of this little form. Sometimes he says, oh, well, you know, my wife and my kids. Oh, you've got kids? How many kids? 3. Okay, 3. What's their names? Oh, their names. Okay, fine. Write it down there. This is not that I normally want on the form, but I write it down because I get it from him as the situation develops, right? And I get it there, and I get it for a reason. And so I go through this thing. It's a very quick survey. It's not a very difficult survey, but it gives me an idea of the temperature of the area that I'm in. Are they religiously inclined? Are they not? Are they at all sort of inclined to do any sort of seminar that can help them, or aren't they? You know, there's a lot of things that I find out in this little survey. But at the same time, like I say, those incidentals that are important, I write them down. And just before I go, it's finished, 2 minutes is done, I say, okay, I'm going to go now. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciated it. Would you mind if I just close with prayer? I'd love to do that. By the way, is there anything I can pray for you? And they normally say, no, that's fine, okay, pray. And they'll normally give you a request. And when I pray, I say, oh, by the way, Lord, he's got 3 sons. Please bless the 3 sons, and so on. And it makes it personal. Wow, this guy has listened to me. And you say, thank you very much. Off you go. And in 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time, you're going to go back to that house and say, I'm just following up. We've actually now got this thing. I'm just wanting to make sure. That time, if you invite you in the house, you go in. The first time, you don't go in. Second time, you go in. And so there's a way of doing it, but there's training of how to do this as well, and there's practical ways of doing this. But it is an absolute essential thing, and it's unreal how easy it is and how easily people will invite you into their house. They will not necessarily agree with you, and that's fine. We're not asking them to agree with us. That's not the point. But it is necessary that we go in, we make the contacts, and it is also necessary that if one person is not successful, it is important that other people go to that same house. Because somebody might not listen to me, but they might listen to Mary. It's just how it is. And that's okay, doesn't matter, as long as they listen at one point or the other. So, we do telephone surveys. And this telephone surveys, again, is internal and external. So we need somebody who's willing to sit on a telephone and make calls. So external, we get a list of companies and we call the companies. Ask them if we can come and leave some brochures or stuff in their reception area. We tell them what we are about. And some will say yes, and some will say no. And that's fine. But if we don't ask them, we're not going to know. So we ask them, and we do that. But we also phone our own church members, because there's lots of our church members that are not coming to church on a regular basis. So we speak to them, and we get them involved, because we want them to attend the meetings. We certainly want them to be there, supportive. And so there's ways and means of doing that again. Because some people tell me, at one place that I was, they said, oh, you know, we tell people once and once only. I said, really? Say, yeah. So why? I said, well, if we tell them more than once, they say, what do you think? You think we are stupid? You think we are imbeciles? Why are you calling us again? You have told us. We know about it. Ah, said, but you're asking them wrong. What do you mean? I said, well, let me show you. So The first time, we called them and said, listen, we're going to have a seminar. And I said, okay, now this is in Georgia that I did this. And so the next day, the guy said, so now, what now? I said, let me show you. And I called the guy, I said, by the way, I've got 3 guests that is on your way to church. When you come tonight, won't you pick them up? What did I do? I reminded him that tonight he better be at the meeting. But I didn't tell him, hey, I want to remind you about the meeting. Please pick up the guests. Now he can't say no. He didn't plan to come, but oh well, I've got to go and pick up the guests, so I got to go. And now he's there. Tomorrow I phone him again. Pastor said, what are you going to tell him tonight? I said, don't worry, I'll show you. He said, by the way, I've got a little problem. What do you mean, Pastor? Well, I forgot to go and buy pencils today, and I really need pencils because I'm going to do like a little survey. Can you get me some pencils? You see what I'm saying? And now they don't feel like they're idiotic or stupid or something, and I think that they're imbecile. I don't. But I know if I don't remind them and I don't get them there somewhere or the other, they're not going to be there. So you need to work hard, and that's what those people do, the telephone survey people. They make sure the people are there. Because, it's so difficult for an evangelist when we have to really work hard and we have got visitors there and the church is empty because our own people are not there. And for the visitors it says, this is not important, their own people are not even here. But if they come there and the church is full, they don't know who's our own people and who's not our own people. But the church is full and, like they're battling because we have to carry in chairs and there's got to be ushers to show them where there's. Then they say, hey, there's something happening here. I got to be here. You see? That's the point. So that's why we need the people to do the telephone surveys. That's why we need genius methods. By the way, did you know that Paul gives us some very good advice as Christians? Did you know that Paul says that the genius of being a Christian is knowing Jesus? Did you know that? And Jesus always opens ways and means that we can do things, and that's his genius. That's wonderful. We must never forget that. We need people to do transportation. We need people that will arrange the flowers, people that will usher and do the things that are necessary. This was one of the things that frustrated me now in Serbia, because I had ushers, but the ushers, the first 2 nights, once they had shown the people in, they sort of disappeared. And so all of a sudden, I wanted them to bring the papers and dish out the papers because I wanted names and things. And the ushers, I had to like stand up front and say, ushers, where's the ushers? Can I get the ushers, please? This is now time for the ushers. You know what I'm saying? It's frustrating. Till they wake up, oh yeah, because the doors are closed at the back. And they see me waving and, ushers. So they come in. That's fine. But we need them. They need to be there. They need to sit in the rows. They have to have spaces. So that when the preacher says, he must be on his post. He must be there. It must work. And you know what I do? Because we're working in a new age. So what I do, the first night that I preach, I say, oh, well, I've got some administrative stuff that I want to do. So I want to do something very special for all of you. I am going to create a WhatsApp group or a Viber group, or wherever I am. In the Balkans, it will be Viber. In Japan, it will be Line. In China, it will be WeChat. Most other places, it will be WhatsApp, whatever. So I said, I'm going to create this group. And this group is specially for you. It's going to be a group where you will not be able to see the other people's information. It's going to be a private group. It's only your information that you will be able to access and mine. You will not see who else is on the group. You don't have to worry. And it's going to be a private conversation between you and me. I will send to the whole group, but as you answer, it will only come to me. Nobody else will see what you are writing. And this group, I want to make it because I want you to have the opportunity to ask me any question you like. And if you've got a prayer request, I want that prayer request. So I'm going to create this WhatsApp group. So I want you to take this piece of paper, fill in your name for me, fill in your telephone number for me, give me your email address. Please send it to the side of the aisle. And they do. And then I send out that first communication that night. I go and I open up that WhatsApp group. I make it a broadcast list, and it's private. And I make sure that only the admin can post and stuff like that. And so I know they don't know. They don't even see it's a group, because the broadcast list doesn't opens up on your phone as a group. And so I do it that way. And then I write my first communication. I say, thank you very much for supplying me your name and number. As you can see, you are now part of that special group that I have created. Here you can ask me any question you like. And by the way, if you ask me a question, I will answer your question. Maximum 3 days you will have an answer. So that is one of the ways that I get the people to make, and then I make sure who they are. And now I can also call them and make appointments for visitation as the pastor. Right? Because an evangelist that comes and who does not do visitations is no good. Do you hear what I said? An evangelist that comes and speaks to you in your church and he doesn't do visitations is no good. He's not going to get baptisms. He might, but not as much as he should. Because you should go and visit the people in their homes. It's one of the things you do. And you need the addresses, you need the telephone numbers to do that. So you have to find ways and means. So the ushers are pretty important. Your technical sound and video people are absolute necessities. You need to have them. You have to have a plan with music. Music is one of the most dangerous things, but it's one of those things you have to have. I am very thankful. I was telling Jan about it this morning when him and I spoke. I have got 2 people that are really absolutely excellent people in my church. One of them is a mezzo-soprano who sings at the Vienna Opera House, and one of them is a tenor who's an absolute excellent tenor. And so when I went to Serbia now, I called up Anina, and I said, Anina, I'm going to Serbia. You said you want to serve the Lord. You happy with that? She says, of course I want to serve the Lord. I said, well, you know, I'm preaching in Serbia, and I need somebody to sing. She says, when? I gave her the date. She said, I'm free. I said, great. I said, it's going to cost you. You're going to have to buy your air ticket, and you have to pay your accommodation, and then you get to sing for me free. How's that? And Anina said, that's great. My husband and I will be there. They bought the tickets. They paid the accommodation. They went to Serbia. They sat there 2 weeks with me, and every night she sang for me. But Anina knows my sermons, and Pierre knows my sermons. And my music is spot on. The music is absolutely in line with the message. You know, we sometimes think that we have to arrange special items, and that's great. We have to have special items. We need to do that. But if the special item is like way different to what the message is, it doesn't mean a thing. It's just a nice item. But when we do things as far as working for the Lord, everything must geared to go towards the decision. Right? Mary, you want to know about announcing? You want to know about radio? Whenever you do a program, it must go like that. Everything must work to that which you want in the end. Everything. The signature tune, the music, everything. The way that you use your voice, the intonation of your voice, everything. There you've got a little tip. Okay? Flyers and advertising. Again, your graphic designs, everything like that. It must be in line with the message. Social media marketing, that is a massive, massive thing to do. You need people that understand social media marketing. And if you don't have people in your church, get them trained. Social media marketing is a very, very specialized sort of field. And that, unfortunately, is that we need to use. It's one of our biggest things that we have to use. But social media marketing works on algorithms, and the people who do that have got to understand the algorithms. Pictures that you put on there must be a certain size, must have a certain amount of pixels. If that is not right, it doesn't go up to the top of the line. It has to have the right words. It has to have the meta tags. It has to have a description. It has to have, there's a lot of things that is in that algorithm that must be there. Otherwise, you don't get traction. Have you wondered why some people have like 317,000 views and other people barely get 100? It's because the algorithm is wrong. Simple. It's as simple as that. The algorithm is wrong. Fix the algorithm, everything else changes. Okay? So make sure you've got somebody that understands that. Now let me give you another tip. If you want maximum traction, you must not be sensational, but you must use the things that is happening around you. If you don't, you're not going to get traction. Okay? So, in South Africa, for instance, when I advertise stuff in South Africa, I use the farm murders. They murder people on farms. It's crazy. The farmers are not safe in South Africa. It's pretty simple. Or I use the power outage of Eskom. It's on everybody's lips. Everybody is concerned about it. So I use stuff like that. And whatever I do, that's my hook. But I'm not sensational, but I do that. In Japan, I used the flooding in Fukuoka as the hook. In 3 days, there were 14,000 Japanese people saying, I want Bible studies. 14,000. Because I used the Fukuoka floods. If I didn't do that, I would never have had that sort of response. Okay? I just happened to be in Paris. Some of you were there. Some of you were at that ASI meeting. Yes? Yeah? Who was there? Yep. Remember what happened when ASI in France was on? Yes, the Notre Dame burned down. I took some really nice pictures of Notre Dame burning. Some nice videos. And guess what was my advert? Notre Dame is burning. Why? If you'd like to know why, click on this link. What was my first sermon? Matthew 24. Signs of the times. You see what I'm getting at? You want response? You make sure you use the things that's on the people's lips. That's the one you want to use. That's the one you put. You don't want to be sensational. We're not sensationalists. That's not what we are. But you want to use it so that you can get traction, so that you can get people in there. You also have to make sure that you understand your territory. So you have to clearly indicate the territory. In this case, I was dealing with the people of Niche last time, so that's why it's in there. But you put your own in there. Brussels. Clearly indicate the territory in Brussels that you are going to work. Put it in a map, and that map should be out there. Everybody coming in here in the church should see that map. They should know this is the territory that we're working in. This is the territory we need to pray for. Your prayer team, this is where we're praying for. The ones that you put these pins in, you say, I've got, people that are coming. I've got people that are really interested. I've got people that have indicated that they want baptism. You put them in different color-coded pins. And based on the pins, You get your prayer people to pray for them, and you make sure that your people understand that and they can see what's happening on the map. You divide the territory into sections, and you hopefully have those sections that at least there's one Adventist family in the section. Hopefully. That's not always possible, but if you can, it's possible. You designate 3 members to a specific section. You have a team leader to lead all activities, including systematic house-to-house visitation or online visitation. Sometimes you can do online visitation. That's possible nowadays. It's a little bit more difficult, a little bit more tricky, but it can be done. You have deacons or deaconesses to take care of spiritual and material needs for this section. I have a very interesting man on my cell phone, Evangelism. If I open it up quickly, I'll show it to you now. His name is De Villiers, Johan De Villiers. There he is. This Johan De Villiers is a very interesting guy. He started writing to me. He responded to a Facebook advert that I put up saying that who needs prayer? I want to pray for you. Who wants me to pray for him? He came up. He begs. He stands at a robot and begs. That's what he does. He's got diabetes. He can't get a job. He's lost all his money. His wife and children walked out on him. He's alone. And he stands at a robot begging for money. That's what he does. He doesn't get a lot of money because it's Namibia. Namibia is not that kind of... Oh, yes, that's a traffic light. German Ampul. What is? Pips. Oh, that's the seeds. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, just stop me if I do some of those things. Anyway, so he stands at this robot and he's got a tough life. And I'm praying for him because he says what I should pray for. So I pray for him. But one day I said to him, Johan, I need to talk to you. Is it okay if I talk to you? He says, yeah. I said, well, it might not be myself because I travel around a lot, but would it be okay if I send somebody to you? He said, yeah, it will be okay. So I phoned up one of the people in my church who happens to be a guy that's a handyman. He builds. He's a construction worker. He's got his own company, a construction working company. I said, look, Yapi, I need you to go and see this guy standing at that robot. He said, yeah, I know about that guy. I said, yeah, well, he hasn't got a job. He actually did paving. He understands paving and how to do that kind of thing. So he knows about construction. And if he knows about paving, he probably knows something else about construction as well. So can you not do me a favor and go and talk to him, find out about his job, find out why he lost his job? Can you talk to him, get me some details on this? Let's see if we can help him. So Yapi goes down and he visits him at the robot. You see, that's why you need the deacons and the deaconesses. When you get that sort of person, you say, hey, I need some help now. I need the right person here. I need to go and find out. Is this person somebody that I can help? Or is it just going to be throwing money after the devil? I don't want to do that either. But I want to make sure that the person that I help is somebody that, you know, that help is going to lead somewhere. So right now we're working with Johan, and he's getting Bible studies, and he's doing fine, and we're assisting him here and there with some finances, and Yapi's working out a job for him. So one of these days he won't be standing at that robot anymore. So that's the whole idea. But you need these people to take care of spiritual and material needs, because you will find people that do have material needs. And then you have to answer the material needs. You know, there's that wonderful passage in Matthew 25, the division of the sheep and the goats, you know. And when Jesus says, you know, you clothed me when I was naked, and you visited me when I was in prison and stuff like that. And you say, oh, when did I do that? So, well, when you did this to one of the least of these, you did this to me, right? And I use that sermon quite often, or I preach that sermon quite often. I say, you know what? It is useless if a guy comes and knocks on my door and he says, I am hungry, and I go inside and I go and fetch my best suit's jacket, and I come out and I say, here's a suit's jacket for you. He cannot eat the jacket. And especially if that's in summer, it's not even going to help because he doesn't need to get warm. So, we got to be exact. We got to address the need. If he's hungry, give him food. If he hasn't got a place to sleep, give him a place to sleep. Or her. But we need that. We divide each section into smaller assignments. Each church member should accept responsibility for these. We visit even online the homes in these territories, and each home should be visited several times, like I said before, by different persons to create maximum interest, because some people will respond to you and others will respond to other people. We have to invite the people to read the books. We have to invite the people to come to church. We have to invite the people to attend seminars. That's the way we have to do it. And we have to capitalize on it because our time is running out. It's pretty simple. It is not preaching that is the most important. It is house-to-house work. Reasoning from the Word and explaining the Word. I have done a lot of things in my life, and I've used a lot of methods, but I can tell you the one that still gives the most success is a very, very simple method. When you are house to house and you sit across the table from one or two or three people, doesn't matter, and you ask a question and you say, please read this in your Bible. And they read the text and they say, that's the answer. And you ask the next question and you say, please read the text. Oh, that's the answer. That's the method that gives the most success. Because they're actually answering their own questions or the questions that you are asking right from their own Bibles. That's the one that has the most success. So that is it. That's what it means here. Reasoning from the Word, explaining. In fact, you have to do very little explaining because they read it. It's right there. It's in front of them. And Jan knows exactly what I'm talking about because he's been trained exactly the same way as I. He was born a little later than I, but, that's to his detriment. He lost a few years there that he could work. But he'll catch up on that, I guess, sometime. I hope so. But if you don't catch up, we'll think of something in heaven to get you doing some extra hours or something. Anyway. I was taught by a Frenchman, by the way. His name was Samuel Monnier. That's the guy who taught me. He developed, together with Louis Torres, he developed a program called Lay Evangelism Training Seminars. And that's where I got trained with evangelism for the first time in my life. He was great on that. He was great on doing this kind of thing. Wonderful, wonderful man. Great opportunity that I had working with him. By the way, he got into evangelism in a very interesting way. Samuel Monnier was at theological seminary in France, and when he was in his 4th year, he prayed to God and he said, Lord, I am a very clever gentleman, and I have done very well in my studies, so Lord, I really don't need a small church. You can start me off with a big one, thanks. He really did. That's what he prayed. He said, I want to just give me a big church for the start. I'm okay. Got it. The Lord humored him. He gave him a big church, Toulouse. Big church, massive church. There was only one problem. There was only 3 people in the church. Big church, 3 members. One of them was an old lady. And so he knew if he wanted to preach to a lot of people, he had better find those people himself. And he started off by using hospitality evangelism. That's how he started off. He invited people in his street to come and have dinner with him. His wife was a good cook. That helped. I know. She was a good cook. So that really helps. And then he would invite the people, and when they came in, he would give them a whole Bible study with a meal. Because he would get the children to pray, and he'd say, well, in our house we normally pray for food, and this is why we do it, because we are Christians. And he'd get the children and everybody, oh, the children prayed so well, they love this. Everybody melts because the children praise. And then he gives out the grape juice, and he says, well, we don't use alcohol, but we've got the best grape juice in France for you. This is very special grape juice. And he makes them feel like really special. And then he says, my wife is a super cook, but by the way, we are vegans, and we don't eat meat. And then he explains why, and because why meat is not so good. And then he puts this meal, and this meal is like really sumptuous. And wow, because Frenchmen like, they like food, right? And so they've got good food. And at the end of it, again, he says, well, normally when we are finished with a meal, like we just have like our Vesper service, our little devotional. And they do the little devotional. And then they sit down and they talk and so on, and eventually they send them off with a book or two, and off they go home. And by the time by the time Samuel left Toulouse, the church was 250 members strong. 250 members strong. And he did that with hospitality evangelism. So, how do we find interest? Well, former SDAs. We find it on the church members' personal interest list or on your contact list. On your phone. You get them there. Radio and television listeners. Now, you don't have radios here in Brussels, but guess what? My new job is to develop radios all over the world. So, we might just have to develop a radio station for you guys. Okay? And so we need to get that going. Survey contacts. Those surveys that I told you about. Get your contacts from them. This is from a systematic visitation program. Bible study response cards. I have got all kinds of cards. I didn't bring them with me because most of my cards are finished. But I've got these little business cards. But I've got them about our radio station. And often I give those cards and I say, hey, do you know what? If you want to listen to a good radio station, here's one. It's an internet radio station. You'll be surprised. This is fantastic. Here, take the card. And they do. Some people will listen, some people won't. Doesn't matter, but you give it out. I give out cards with my little address at the back with a thing, can I pray for you? Have you got a Bible question? Do you want a Bible study? And I've got my telephone number in there. I give it out all the time, wherever I go. It costs me a few dollars to get it. I get 500 at a time, stuff like that. And wherever I go, I give these things out. If I give a glow tract, I put one of them inside the glow tract. That's how it works. So Bible study response cards. Former campaign attendees. You must keep record of those that have attended your campaigns. Don't lose them. Next time you invite them to something, they will come. Maybe it will be a stop smoking clinic. Maybe it will be a stress clinic. Maybe it will be a cooking class. Whatever it is, they will come. And because of that, they will have a renewed interest. So don't throw away your former campaign attendees. Your literature evangelist lists. I don't know if your literature evangelists work here. I had 2 of them working for me in Serbia because they're as good as Bible workers. They know what's going on. And you need people that are full-time employed, that are paid by the conference or by the union that you can use, that can do some of the work for you because you guys are working. So don't throw those guys away. Use them. Your center of influence, if you have one. Not everybody's got a center of influence, but if you have one, use them. The visitors books outside in your reception area. Your temperance trust or your seminars, your cooking pools, your guest book, like I said, your cell phone evangelism concept. And I don't know if you know about the project. You should know about the project. I saw you did something very similar. I actually was hoping somebody took a photo, but I haven't seen a photo of that. This morning, when you guys were there in front of my hotel, I hoped somebody took a photo of the two chairs with you sitting up there and say, don't you want to, did somebody take a photo of you? Can I get that photo, please? Send me that photo. I want that photo, please. Yeah. Okay. I want that photo. Because that's an important thing. It is really, really, really important. I was in Finland. And in Finland, the youth of Finland, they made a coffin. They painted the coffin black. They went into the main square of Helsinki with permission. They put the coffin down there on the floor. They had a doll, which they put in there, looking like a corpse lying inside the coffin. And then they had this red police tape around this. They had black clothes on. They had a white mask on their face. They had this little thing said, dead, what now? The people were lining up. There were lines waiting to speak to them. You got to continue doing those kind of things. That's a great idea. Hey, do you want to talk? Come sit down. I'll talk to you. People need to be spoken to. They don't talk to people anymore. So it's a good thing. Another thing that they did in Finland, they had a very sensitive thing, very, very sensitive. I thought it was very daring, but it worked, and it worked well. They took a day that was devoted to LGBTQ, and they went out onto the plane with their masks, black clothes, and they were around us. There's a statue in Finland, in Helsinki, right opposite Stockmann's. If you go on the internet, you'll find it's about workers working. That's 3 workers on this round thing. And they were standing around that statue. And so they said, said something about love. Oh, love is. That's it. Love is. And they got people to come and complete sentences. Love is what? And their slogan that they had was, love is caring enough to tell the truth about the LGBTQ. And you know what? I thought that was daring. I thought, wow. But you know what? These LGBTQ people came and spoke to them. And they were queuing up to talk to them. And guess what? They weren't angry. They talked to them. Because they weren't, addressing them in any derogatory type of way. They weren't being nasty to them. They were allowing them to come to them and say, okay, well, love is this. And they'd say, yeah, but I need to tell you the truth. Your lifestyle is not really a good lifestyle, but nonetheless, I love you still. It worked. It was an absolute fantastic thing. They've got something there that has formed out of that called the community church. They've got people coming to the Seventh-day Adventist church. They're not Seventh-day Adventists. But they come Sabbath after Sabbath. Because the people all of a sudden find, hey, this is a comfortable place for me to be. So we shouldn't forget about these things. And here in Europe, I'm not saying you should do it, but I'm saying it is a big problem. And if you can use that in a manner that you are not derogatory and not threatening or things like that, you'll find that those people will be willing to talk to you. And other people will see that, and they will take note. And so that's all about living out our Christian principles. That's the Dead What Now projects. So anything like that, find ways and means. I get the youngsters involved. I got the youngsters involved in Hungary. We did some really interesting stuff in Hungary. We got the the youth to paint rocks. We picked up rocks, pebbles. Not big ones, small ones. And we had them paint these, stuff like that. We had them painted. So we had this project for the youth. They painted all these things. And then once that was painted, we went out into the streets like Jan does with you. But we had these little cards with the invites. And we placed little stacks of cards like this with a stone on each one of them. At the tram stations, the bus stations, the train stations, at the banks, at the auto tellers, all over. We went and placed these things. And then we stood away and watched what happened. And it was interesting. People would come up and they would see the rock, and they would go up to the rock and lift up the rock and take one. And if they didn't like it, they'd put it back and put the rock on top. And if they liked it, they put the rock and they took it and they left. And that was interesting because they didn't if they didn't like it, they just put it back. That was interesting for me to see that. But it was great. And so that was one way of doing it. The other thing that we did in Hungary as well with the youth, I got the youth and I said to them, okay, I want you to go and make little videos and photos that we want to post on Instagram. So we created an Instagram account and a hashtag. And then we said, okay, you go and do videos and you go and do photos. But we gave them specifics. So we said stuff like rest. You got to make a video about rest. How do you see rest? Go and show us, how do you see rest in the city? Come back with a short video. Come back with photos, how you see rest. Then we'd put it on the Instagram under the hashtag. Or death. Tell us about death. Or about finances. And they would come back. And you know what? Young people has got interesting perspectives. They have a totally different perspective. And it's like really creative and it gets your mind thinking. And when you put it on that Instagram under that hashtag, it goes viral like this. And all of a sudden we had like responses running out of our ears. So you use that kind of thing to get your interests and your lists going. The systematic visitation program, that's one of the most important ones. The religious survey is highly successful. We're going on to that now. All the members should engage actively in mission work. They should visit every family in the neighborhood, know their spiritual condition. That is what we are told in Testimonies, Volume 6, page 296. Know their spiritual condition. If you don't know what the spiritual condition in your area is, how do you know, what to do? You don't. And the purpose of our survey is to discover who is interested in learning about the Bible. So we offer Search for Certainty or Revelation of Hope Bible studies. That's a free offer we make. Or systematic literature and Bible lesson enrollment cards or whatever. That's the kind of thing that we do with this. So here's the community religious survey that I use. It's a very simple one, like I said. We show this to the guy. We say, see, there's no place for your name. See that? No place for your name. I don't record your name. I don't record anything. And they say, okay, great. I'm happy to help you. So, in your opinion, is there a God? Yes, no, or no opinion. Is there life after death? Is Christ coming again? Who is Jesus according to your understanding? A son of God, a prophet, savior of man, not sure, or the creator? Do you feel you understand the Bible as well as you would like? Concerning religious involvement, what church did your parents attend? Do you belong to the same church? Very important question, right? If he doesn't belong to the same church as his parents, you know that, he will probably be open to accepting truth much better and much quicker than somebody else. How often do you attend? Weekly, monthly, seldom, never. Do you believe all churches should unite? In your opinion, why do so many youth today turn to spiritual things? That's true, by the way. In your opinion, how does one become a Christian? If you had the opportunity, would you like to study the Bible? Simple questions that they can answer, and they will. They will assist you with that. This is one of the ways that you break the ice if you go out and visit. Good afternoon, my name is Neville, and this is Mary. I live in Namibia. She lives wherever. We are members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. What's your name? They're probably going to tell you because you told them your name. That's how people are. If I don't tell you my name, well, that'll be different. But if I tell you I'm Neville, what's your name? You'll probably tell me what your name is. Okay. We are trying to encourage Bible reading. What I have to say today will only take 2 minutes. We're trying to find out what people expect in terms of religion and to make sure that their needs are taken care of. I only have a few questions that I would like to ask you. We will be very happy if you will help us with these, and then I do the survey. Get it done. At the end, thank you for assisting us, for your cooperation. I'd like to give you a beautiful Bible or a great controversy or whatever. By the way, we have got some very special great controversies. It's a full great controversy, but at the back, we have a set of Bible studies. And so when you give the book, you say, take a look at this. It's so great. It's so cool. Look here at the back. You've got a Bible study like, dead, what now? And take a look here. You see, here's the question. Look here. In this book, here's the page number and the answer. Fantastic. And you show them that. So you give them like a minor little Bible study right there. You say, here's your book. It's free of charge. Thank you for helping me. Could you please pray? Could we please pray for you before we leave? And they normally do, and you pray and you go. That's that. There's what I was telling you about in Finland, by the way. What's next? Here's the one that they did with the LGBTQ community. Stuff like that. Really interesting. Really works well. This house-to-house labor, searching for souls, hunting for the lost sheep, is the most essential work that can be done. There is nothing that we can do that is better than that. Absolutely nothing. That's the most essential work to be done. So when we are visiting, we make sure that you are presentable to the Lord. If you are presentable to the Lord, you will be presentable to the people. Pray earnestly by name for the persons on your list. They are precious people. Plot these names on your map in your church. Pray just before sending them a message. Introduce yourself by name. Make sure your message is relevant. Always pray together. Record all vital information as soon as you can. Characteristics, special situations, names of children, anything that can help to show your personal care. Here's an example of a letter that you can send, or a communication that you can send, a WhatsApp message that you can send. You can adapt it a little bit. I use this quite often. It works for me very well. Tremendous things are happening in the world today. Drugs, permissiveness, pollution, church union, education, science, demonstrations, atomic armament. Where does it all lead? Many thinking people are reading the Holy Bible as never before. They're finding that the Bible's message is relevant and authoritative. By means of the enclosed link, which you get on your app, or the QR code, which you get on your app, we offer you without obligation a series of easy-to-follow guides to Bible reading. If you do not have a Bible, we will give you one. There is no catch. We have nothing to sell. All we want is for you to read the Bible for yourself in the privacy of your own home. We are able to make this offer because of the sponsorship of Christian friends who have found for themselves that the Bible has the answer. They want others to have this experience too, or anything similar to that. That's just an example. Okay, any questions thus far? Anything? All churches should unite. Well, you know whether they are thinking like the ecumenical movement are thinking, the way that the papacy is saying that, you know, whether you are Hindu or Buddhist or whatever, we should all unite because all roads lead to Christ. Or do they think, no, there is a specific way, there is truth, and we have to find truth to get to So it gives us an idea of the mindset. Yeah. Well, if it's an open WhatsApp group and there's not just Seventh-day Adventists on it, I would always say ask a preempting question every now and again. And then the responses that you get, make sure that those people respond to you privately and put those private ones that have answered to you, put them on a group, and then speak to them. Because then you filter out the noise. Yeah. The clutter, yes. Okay. Well, initially, you don't. When you just ask a question like that, they don't know you from a bar of soap. But you will be amazed. People are a lot more open than you think they are. We have a lot of perceptions in our minds that are like totally wrong. And the devil likes it when we have perceptions because he knows that he can trick us. So my experience tells me that people, when you say, I want to pray for you, they will probably talk to you. They will not necessarily trust you at that point in time. They will not necessarily feel that they can discuss like very personal things with you, but they will give you a general request. So, to give you an example, in South Africa, I'm buying time on a non-Christian radio station. It's called FM 96, FM 96. And so I buy 4 hours per day, 5 days per week. I buy on that radio station. And the idea is that I want to get people to talk to that's non-Adventists, right? So I put a number of things on there. I have got very good photographs that I've tested. We've taken photographs of different people, youngsters, youth, middle-aged, old people, stuff like that. But we've taken some photos and we've tested them. And there are some photos that people react to and some photos that people don't react to. So we put a very good photograph that we know will get a reaction into the group that we want to target. So we know that it's youth, it'll be a youth person. We target them. And so we take that photograph and we put it on the Facebook page of that radio station. And then we will say something like, I would like to pray for you. Have you got a request? And we have a link. And they will then respond to that. Now, the radio station that I'm buying time on, they have got 5 million listeners. That's not too much. It's actually very little, but it's okay. They've got 5 million listeners. They are in the Pretoria area or close to Pretoria area in South Africa. And when we put up that prayer request thing, our general response is 700,000 plus requests for prayer. So out of 5 million to get 700,000, that's quite fair. We've got a whole center for digital evangelism that answers, and that's their job. Yeah. Oh, the prayers, most of the prayers, the ones that come up most is financial breakthrough. People are in financial trouble all over the world. And they want, you know, this is something that Pastor Jan will also tell you. People think that, God is this God of prosperity. And people think nowadays that, we can ask God and He's going to just change our financial situation and make us prosper and things like that. So unfortunately, that's also our job to educate people that that's not the case, but that God actually wants us to be financially sound. He doesn't want us to be prosperous necessarily, but He wants us to work on a financially sound basis. And so we have to deal with that. We have to educate people. But like I said yesterday, when we get these requests, we have to analyze the request and find out what the real need is. Is the real need because the person is sick? I do have such a person. I baptized that person. I shall show you her photograph. This was the most special. Oh, I can't show you that photograph. I don't have my gadget here. Right. Where she could actually work from home and she could get a few, not a big salary, but she could get a salary, more like a stipend thing. But she could start functioning for herself. And she joined the church. She's baptized. I went and baptized her. She's in Sabi. Yeah. It was the most incredible baptism that I've ever done in my life. I baptized her in her own home. We bought a portable swimming pool. We took it to her house. We made it full of water. We had a caregiver and an extra person because you have to be very careful with these people. They picked her up with towels, put her in the water. She was sitting down in the water, and I was getting in the water just next to her, and we just put her down and up, and it was the most sublime. It was unreal. Yeah, that's one of the photos I carry around with me, and maybe I'll send it around. You can take a look. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. That's, yeah, that's me baptizing Janine. Yeah, unreal. Yeah, it's a very special baptism that. Sorry, yeah, sorry, there it's better. Yeah, baptizing a quadriplegic lady. That's quite different. Yeah, very, very special. Yeah. So you have to address the need, and her need was physical and for healing. And the testimonies that we've had from this lady, it's like unreal. Um, because I mean, she can do nothing, absolutely nothing. Um, and the joy that this lady has of knowing Jesus and the things that she's doing, and she's one of my most successful cell phone evangelists. Yeah. Yeah, tell them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Well, Mary, all I can tell you is that's one of those perceptions that are not true either. I just worked in Serbia, and that was one of the things that the Serbian Union told me. They said, well, can we rent a hall for the first 8 lectures and then we'll move to the church? I said, no, we'll stay in the church. We'll do the church. And they said, well, we will not get people. I said, well, maybe we won't get as much as we get in the hall, but you know what? Nobody's going to feel that I cheated them. Right from the start, they knew I was a Seventh-day Adventist. No hidden agenda, no switch and bait. You know, I don't do that. I tell them right from the start, that's who I am, and that's who it is. And they come, and like I say, maybe I could have had 50 people more, or maybe 100 people more, but you know what? That's fine. I would have lost them anyway. Um, yeah, but they knew from the start they were coming to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. They were in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and right from the start, one of the other challenges that I had is the people said to me, okay, well, how are we going to do the meetings? I said, we're going to do them like church services. We're going to have a pre-song service. We are going to have prayer. We are going to do exactly like we do in a church. And again, they said, oh, I said, no, we're going to do it right from the start. People know this. They got to know this. We are in a church. That's how it is. And so we got to trust God. We serve an incredibly mighty God. And we serve a God that He knows what's best. He knows what's going on. And so He knows what we want to do. We do it in His house. We do it on His terms. And we allow Him to do the work. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's my approach anyway. Yeah.
Especially in Europe, where they have actually rented a hall. Okay, so people came, and at the end, when they found out that you're going to bring them to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, they felt deceived. So it's better to have, from the very beginning, know where this is heading, so they don't feel that they've been cheated, because they invested 2 weeks coming to your meeting. Okay? And then in the end, you have also invested a lot of energy and resources and time on them. And that way, nobody feels like they've been deceived. It's better to be transparent and clear from the very beginning. Okay?
Yeah.
Although some of our leaders and workers are wary of that. Okay? But we, as God's last day people, have a solemn message entrusted to us for such a time as this.
Yeah.
And people need to know who we are.
Yeah.
And if we are uncomfortable with that, then the people will be uncomfortable with us.
Yeah. Now, I also know about the name thing. And again, this is my opinion. It's only my opinion. I don't say anybody else must do it, but that's my opinion. Our name is a sermon. And so I know 25 years back, some of the people changed the name of the church here in Europe, some areas in Europe, not all areas in Europe. But they changed the name to the Christian Adventist Church. I don't know if you know that. Yes, well, there are some countries that we have the Christian Adventist Church, not the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And I have been speaking to a number of those people, and there are actually some of those people that are now considering changing the name back, which I am happy for, because you see, when we say seventh day, we're saying that the God I am honoring and the God that I'm worshiping is the Creator God. And when I take seventh day out, well, what am I doing here? I'm saying I'm putting myself in line with whoever else is serving. No, I'm serving the Creator God. I want people to know that. So my name is as a sermon on itself. It tells them I believe in the soon coming of Jesus Christ. I don't believe that there's a nirvana going to be set up here on earth. And that people are going to sort out their own sort of heaven here on earth. I don't believe that. I believe Jesus is coming back, and I believe Jesus is coming to fetch us. So for me, that's a sermon. So for me, the name is an absolute important thing, and I want people to know that. Yeah. Okay? All right. One more session. Oh, it's gone. I've gone. No, it's not that long. I was scared that I was going to go too long, but let's have a short break, get some water. Maybe you need to go to the bathroom or whatever, and then we'll do a practical session. It's fine. It's a pleasure. It's on there. On the last page, there is my name and my email address and my telephone number. Yeah. On that little thing I gave you.
Tonga. Since me and Eugene will be leaving, so at the end, when it finishes, maybe thank you, and ladies can give the chocolates. You do the toast, yeah. I think John is going to come outside almost.
Divine appointment.
Okay then, all the
Praying
best.
for you. Yeah.
Sure, we'll be in touch.
Oh, true. Yes, I have to ask Emma. Don't she's a little Christina. Okay.
And I'll ask.
Yesterday I forgot those, so it's not 100%. Oh yeah. Okay. So both of you. So you got a little bit of your dad in both of you. You more and a little bit. It's also when everything happens at the same time. It just yesterday morning, actually, I threw them out of the bag on Friday to cook them, but something interrupted me and they didn't get from one bag to the other. And then I realized, and then I asked, okay, should I go back and get them? Which I have to do. But somebody had to say.
I don't, but yeah, thanks. Right. Okay, so now we want to do some practical stuff. All of you downloaded the app already? Okay, if you downloaded it, that's fine. If you haven't downloaded it, it's not the end of the world. We will talk about it, and you can download it still. Now, first off, let me just tell you this. So, if you have set up your church, we can get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. If you have set up your church, the first thing that's important is what we just spoke about. You need to set up your church with that prayer team and all of the different parts, right? But once you have done that, we need to get you going. We need to get people to start talking with, right? And of course, you can send the link like I showed you yesterday. You can send the link. Or, like I showed you yesterday, you can put contacts onto your address list, onto your contact list, and then you can go into those three dots and add an interest by means of that way, right? So that you can do. And I would suggest that just for the sake of playing around with it for the moment, I mean, get a friend. I mean, you can say to her here, listen, let the two of us, and she can be like the one that's going to be the student, and you're going to be like the one that's going to do the work. And then you can change around. So you can play around like that just to get the hang of the app, if you like. But we want to get you involved in your campaign for September. That's what we really want to do. So we want to make sure that if you've downloaded that app, the first thing that you have to do is once you've downloaded the app, I need somebody here to take the responsibility to send me your names with your email addresses. That's very important. I need that. No, I'm not going to send you emails. I don't have the time to send you emails. Unless you have something very specific, then I'll answer your email. But I'm not going to send you emails. But I need that because I need to put you onto a team, onto the Brussels International Church team. And I need the email. That's the only way I'm going to know who you are. So that way, I can, in the database, I can then go and put you onto the Brussels International Church team. I need to do that. Because when I give instruction to the marketing people of AWR, they are going to send the contacts that they get in Belgium to the team. So we're going to generate contacts for you. There is one negative. They're going to be all over Belgium. They're not necessarily going to be right here next to you in Brussels. Belgium is too small to try and bring it down to only Brussels or only Antwerp or whatever. Brussels as a country is too small. The algorithm works on numbers. So to get you a lot of people, we're going to be targeting Belgium, right? So you're going to get people from all over Belgium. Yeah,
How
that's
would
a
you
very good
allocate those
question.
participants to?
We're going to advertise in English for you.
Okay. But if they don't speak English and they want to speak French or Dutch,
Well, they will not answer the advertisement then because the advertisement's in English.
okay.
But if they answer the advertisement in English, you can answer them in English, and if you can speak other languages, then you can switch to those languages, right? I have got this gentleman who's going to do the translations. At the moment the translations are done, we will then offer them Flemish or Dutch, and French is on, so you can use French, okay? But when we advertise, we're not going to advertise in French or in Dutch, not for the start. For the start, just to get you going, we're going to start advertising in English. But that might change. The moment we've got everything right, then we will change that. Then we will make the adverts either Dutch or Flemish or French. Okay? But that's a valid question. But right now, for now, the easiest way is to do it in English, and hopefully we will get a lot of people answer. We will also see. We've got a team that is tight on this thing. They monitor it, they check it. And so if we see that's not going to work, we will switch and see what we can do. But we will get you people for the start. And from that advert, what will happen is if there's like 5 people or 10 people or how many people, whatever, it'll send the first contact to this person and then to the next and then to the next and then to the next, and then it'll go back and so on. So that everybody always have the same amount of, or close to the same amount of people to handle, right? We don't suggest that you use more than 10 people. When you get to 10 people, then you will see that when a contact is sent to you, you have the choice of accepting or saying no, yes or no. You can say yes or no. If you say yes, it'll come onto your system and you will then be responsible for that person. If you say no, the contact will not be lost. Don't worry about it. We don't lose contacts. That contact will then be sent to somebody else on your team. And if your team is full, everybody of you have 10 people, then it'll go to our Center for Digital Evangelism in the Philippines. And they will be serviced from there. But we will not lose anybody. So you don't have to worry about that. But you have the opportunity to say yes or no. So when you get to 10, say no. And that's okay. Right? Because we want you to rather work with 10 people and work with them well than you've got 50 on there and you're not doing your work properly. Right? Now, one of the things you want to do as well is you want to select a team leader. That team leader, we will give some extra responsibilities. That team leader will be able to look over your shoulders. So they will be able to see all the communications going on between you and your student. There is 2 reasons for that. One reason is that we want to make sure that there is no untoward behavior going on. That can happen. The devil is very sly. So we certainly don't want that happening. And if we see something like that happening, we can stop it right there. We can transfer the student so that we don't lose the student. And we can pull in the person and say, you know what, we need some counseling with you. All right? So that's one of the reasons that we have. The other thing is, unfortunately, it happens. Years ago, when I was still at college, when I was still selling art and doing that for an extra income, there was a very, very prominent artist in South Africa, a very big artist. His work sells for exorbitant prices. He's dead now, but he lived in those days when I was studying. His name is Gregoire Boonzaier. Gregoire Boonzaier, he was famous for District 6 paintings of District 6, the old District 6. That was what he was famous for worldwide. He was incredible. He's sought after very much. I knew him, and one day I was at an art exhibition together with him, but the art exhibition was really like just a beginner painter. It was not like, I wouldn't expect to see him there. And so I went up to him and I said to him, Gregoire, just explain to me, why are you at this art exhibition? And he said to me, you know what, Neville, we all need somebody to look over our shoulders every now and again. And so I'm here, and if I can tell her, you know what, just do what you've done here, just do it like this, or here, just do that, I can make her a better painter. And I thought, wow, that's unreal. And this is what we do in the second part with us. It's there to look over the shoulder because we miss stuff. Not because we intentionally want to miss it, because we do. It's just how it is. And if somebody else looks over our shoulder, they see something that we've missed. So I've seen it a number of times where somebody's so busy with working with a person, they don't see the extra line in the communication saying, by the way, my sister just came out of hospital. And I'm working with this person, and then I can come in looking over the shoulder and say, did you see your sister was in hospital? Why aren't you praying for the sister? So there's that twofold thing. The one is making sure that there's nothing untoward happening, no, false teachings or anything like that going on or other behavior. And on the other side, making sure that there's this learning opportunity saying, but you missed this. This is important. Take this up. So that's important from the team leader side. So the team leader must vet the conversation, and the team leader will assign a rating to the conversation, whether this is a good conversation or mediocre or whatever. So we have a vetting system of what's happening, and we see that. And also, it allows the team leader to talk to the entire team in one go. So the team leader can help and assist and give training to the entire team, the entire church team, by using that. So it's not only a platform of doing what I showed you yesterday, but the team leader can coach the whole church and work with the whole church and see this. And then we have a campaign manager. So the team leader, in your case, for this first initial period, will be a guy by the name of Dan Nell. You don't know him, but that's who it is. That's your team leader. Eventually, your pastor will be your team leader. But for now, Dan Nell will be your team leader. Dan will be the one that will create the team for me. He's one of my engineers, and he will create the team, and he will be the team leader, and he will send you some information as well, and he will guide you along. And then at one point in time, when we see that you are doing well and we think, great, they on their way, we will make your pastor your team leader, and Dan will disappear. I will be your campaign manager for the time being, until such time that we see everything is going well with your team leader and with you, and then I will hand the campaign over to either your conference president or your union president, and they will continue from there. Of course, if everything goes well. That I cannot assure you of, but if it doesn't, then you get stuck with me. And at one point in time, what happens there is the team leader and the campaign manager has access to stats. So I can see if there is baptisms coming out of this. I can see where this is going, whether people are doing their jobs or not doing their jobs. So in that way, we can then guide and help and assist all of the time on an ongoing basis. So that's a very, very nice thing to have. So you will get students, and then the process will begin where you start communicating with those students, and then you will also start getting communications from Dan, and you'll start getting communications from me from time to time. All right? And then we'll see how it goes, and by September, hopefully you have got a lot of people that you can invite, because we keep that list at the back end. And when you come and you say, our meetings are going to be from September so-and-so to so-and-so, we need to invite people, we say, okay, we will invite them for you. And we have got a whole interest list of all the people that have come on there. We've got their email addresses, we've got their cell phone numbers, and we can invite them for you to come and attend the meetings. Okay? So now you can see how the plan works, right? And how it unfolds in your favor, right? Okay. So for a start, we're going to do the advertising for you. All right? And the advertising will be based on, I want to pray for you. That's what it'll be based on. But you have got to remember, when those people land up on your cell phone, in your application, and I will let you know when it goes live. So you don't have to worry about it right from the start. You can play with your application for the time being. Just get used to it, find out where what is, and so on. That's what you want to do. But once the advertising campaign starts, I will inform you. I will tell you, okay, we're going to start the advertising campaign now. And then the moment that you guys are full with 10 people each, you tell us and we'll stop that advertising campaign. You don't pay for it, we pay for it. AWR happens to be nice. So we pay for it. Okay? We run it. We pay for it. And you get the contacts and all the people that you got to handle. Okay? So once that is there, you start working with those people. And if you've got anything at any one time, you can call me. Right? On that drive that I gave you, on the first presentation, at the end of the first presentation, the last slide on the first presentation has got my name, has got my email address, has got my telephone number, my WhatsApp number. I do use all the platforms, but if you want to get a quick response from me, get me on WhatsApp, not even on my email. You're going to get a better response from my WhatsApp than anywhere else. Okay? So you can get me there, and then you can ask me. If you're not sure, ask me. Say, this is the prayer request that I've got. What do I do here? Make sure that you know about the Bible studies. The Bible studies, when you click on the Bible study section in the app, the Bible study section is in language order alphabetically. So you will have Afrikaans right in the beginning, because that's the language we're going to speak in heaven. I thought I'd just throw that in. Somebody else will think it's maybe Swahili or something. But that's fine, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, we're going to all understand it. We're all going to speak it. So, but anyway, Afrikaans is at the top, and then it'll go through Czech and Croatian and whatever, English. Yeah, we did that deliberately, because otherwise it's B, then it's British, and we don't want that. You know, they get too high to the top, so. Russian is on there. Yes, Russian is on there. Spanish is on there. Not all the languages, but there's a number of languages. But it's in language order in alphabetical sequence. Then within language order, depending on what's available in that language, we normally have Revelation of Hope. That's the one that's available generally. Revelation of Hope is about Daniel and Revelation, and of course it addresses the 28 fundamental principles of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So that's the one that is in their standard. But then we, depending on the language group that you have, we have Life in Abundance, which is the health one. It's based on the first 6 chapters of Daniel, but it is concerned with health. It's a fantastic series, by the way. I'll give you the titles now so that you get an idea of the titles. Documents, SDA, Life in Abundance. Yeah, so the first sermon is From Embarrassment to Opportunity. Second one is Relationships and Health. The third one, Praise and Promises. Fourth one is Healthy Thoughts. Fifth one is the addicted brain. And 6, handling the holidays. And it's based on Daniel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I don't know who of you knew that holidays comes from Daniel chapter 6. You didn't know that? Yes, that's where holidays come from, because the Bible doesn't have anything to do about holidays. You work 6 days, you have 1 day off. That's the Bible. There's no such thing as a holiday. Work 6 days, 1 day off. That's it. But in Daniel's time, they had to pray to this image 30 days long, and they were holy days. Holy days. That's where it comes from. Just in case. So there's some very interesting stuff here. This Bible study is also one of the only Bible studies that works quite differently to all our other Bible studies. The first part is done by an internist on a purely physical medical basis. And the second part is spiritual. So it's 2 parts. Every single study of those. Very nice. And then, of course, it's a lovely bridge to go right into Daniel, because he deals with prophecy. So that's a fantastic bridge. And then we have Teach Me to Pray. Those are the 3 most important ones for you to know. Teach Me to Pray, Life in Abundance, Revelation of Hope. But we also have the Cami Utman series, Unlocking Bible Prophecy, on there as a video series, not only audio. And we also have Dwayne McKee's Earth's Final Countdown on there. And then we have some others, some other studies as well. That's on there. Some of them are available in the languages, some of them aren't. Some of them have been translated, some of them have not. Then you will also see some studies on there. If you go into the Bible studies, you will see at the end it's got web. When it's got web behind it, it doesn't have audio and it doesn't have video. It's a Bible study. Only a Bible study. And so when you do a web thing, it's like a Voice of Prophecy Bible School thing. So you send out the Bible study, they fill it in, you get the answers, you talk to them like that. Right? What we are doing now, currently, and that'll be ready within the next couple of weeks, all the studies, Revelation of Hope, Teach Me to Pray, Life in Abundance, they will all have a web-based Bible study going with it. And so they will have that little blue thing at the top, which gives them the whole text of the Bible study. They will have the audio or the video, depending on what it is. And they will have the web-based Bible study all in one. Right? So that's the way we're working towards. We want, because when they answer those Bible studies, that's when you can see whether they're really understanding the Bible study or not. So that's important for the follow-up work. So go through those Bible studies. Do yourselves a favor. Listen to those Bible studies. Make sure what those Bible studies say. If you don't have the time to listen and or you like to read better than you like to listen, then let me know and I'll send you the text. And you can read the text. All right? I'll give you a Word document on the text, and you can read the text. But make sure that you know what's going on in those Bible studies. It's good preparation for you, because if you know what's going on in the Bible studies, you will be able to assist your students better. So you might as well get it done while you're waiting to have everything set up, which we hope will be done within a week or 2. Then you will be able to start working, actually, hopefully. So that's very important. Get those Bible studies, go through them, make sure you know what's on them, right? What else can I tell you? No, I think that's about it. That's what you're going to work with. You're going to work with a Bible study. You're going to work with answering questions and stuff like that. So I think that's it. if you've all had it downloaded, we could play around with it a bit, but we're not all downloaded, so that's fine. You can play at home. And if there's any other questions, then just call me. Okay? All right. Then that's that. Unless you've got questions. Yes.
That'll probably be later this year. I'm thinking
That's
probably
fine.
after the holidays.
It's fine.
If there's people who want to step into this project, they automatically become member of the international church team?
No, they
or
don't
how-
have
how
to.
do they don't have
This is for Brussels, and we're going to... The way we work, or the way I like to work, I didn't do this because I know Jan is working here, and I'm sure that he's going to do it. But we work in cycles, okay? Have you done the cycle yet, Jan? Okay, but we work in cycles. Okay, so you understand cycles. So there's this harvesting cycle that we have. We plant, we nurture, we harvest, you know, we do some follow-up work, and we plant again. You know, there's that whole thing that going around. And so if you're really in the cycle, you will have 2 evangelistic campaigns per year. That's how it will work, if you really stick to the cycle. Otherwise, alternatively, you have 1, because sometimes the churches just have a program that's terrible, and then they have 1. And sometimes it's factors outside of that. It's not even the church. It's sometimes because there's a harvesting system and people go harvesting and then they can't come to meetings because they're all in the field harvesting their stuff. And other times it's because it's summer and people are all at the sea and they're not here anymore, and you know. So there's things like that. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you about those. You know better than I do. But you will know, can you do 1 or 2 a year? But whatever it is, your cycle works. So you go through that cycle and you start, and cell phone evangelism is part of both ends. So you use it in the beginning to get the interest and to get the Bible studies and to do that kind of thing. And then you end off with a reaping campaign or an evangelistic campaign. And then after that, cell phone evangelism comes again for the follow-up, the dinasorg. That's what you do with your cell phone evangelism again. And then you start the whole cycle again. You just continue through these cycles. That's what you do, and that's how the church grows, and that's how the church continues expanding. So that's how it works. Somebody told me, well, does that really work? And I say, well, look at the Jehovah's Witnesses. They haven't changed anything. They do the same thing over and over and again, and they're growing. Actually, they're growing quite fast. So, and they outgrow us, actually. So, and they do the same thing. They haven't changed. Do the same thing over and over and over and over again. So that's how we do it, over and over and over again. So you just continue doing it. That's how it is. So that's how we set it up. So we follow that pattern. We do everything, the law, the natural law that we discussed here. You've got to sow, you've got to water, you've got to nurture, you've got to do everything that you need to do, and then you harvest, and then you look after the harvest, and then you start again. That's how it is. All right? But yes, so this is for them, but you can, individually you can work, no problem. And then if you do that, then we start a group there. What you should do eventually then is get that church to move into a cycle of evangelism. And our Sabbath school departments are promoting that as well, because they've got the growth model, right? And it's exactly the same model. Oh, sorry, man. I'm so sorry, Christine. But that's me. I don't stand still. So yeah, the Sabbath school has got this growth model, and evangelistic we've got there. And it's the same thing essentially. So basically that's what we're doing. But that's what you, yeah. So we will put one for your area or your church or whatever. Yeah. But for this one, for the international church, it will basically be for this group. And because there's nobody else in Brussels yet, it'll work for the entire Brussels. Yeah. Hopefully, more churches will join, and then they will just join the Brussels campaign. Yeah. We had a problem in one area where people said, yeah, but they want to work it in regions. Now, fortunately, their country was big enough, and we could do that. But it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes we have to stick to the country because of the dynamics of what happens on social media. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And we had to, I can tell you this, we also had to work through the dynamics of the social media in Europe, because social media in Europe does not work the same way it works in America, neither in South Africa or Africa or the Balkans for that. I didn't know that. I thought, Facebook is like, no, doesn't work that way. Facebook in Europe is different to Facebook in Africa. Of the algorithms is different because of the GDPR and stuff like that. So there's all kinds of things that we had to also learn before we had success. Now, the general person in the house doesn't know this kind of thing, and that's why they don't always have the success that they think they should have. And they should actually have a lot more success, but they're not dealing with the algorithm in the right way. Yeah. Yeah. So what we've got for our advertising at Adventist World Radio, and that's why we help you in the beginning. Oh, by the way, on that USB, there's also examples of adverts on there. We have written a program which is a self-learning artificial intelligence program. So when we place your advert, depending on what is happening, it teaches itself and then adapts itself to change the way it goes about. That's why we have success. So we've done some smart things. Yeah. God has been very good for us. Very good. All right? Anything else? Maybe, well, you choose, whoever.
Yeah, I think we can coordinate. We can put an announcement in our ISDA group to see who wants to participate, and I think we'll just discuss this and then get back with a list of the
Yeah.
team members.
Remember, I cannot do anything until I've got that. Once I've
Yeah.
got that, then I will create the Brussels team. Once we've created that, I can then let Kate and Michelle start doing the marketing, and then I can get Dan to start setting up the rest. And once that is done, that's when we will start working. So I first need that before I can do anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Since we are now just a few, we will probably take a bit of time also to speak with the elders and with the pastor and coordinate.
Yes.
And give
Yes.
give you the list. But yes, we understood the importance of getting that quickly.
Yeah.
And also get also the confirmation of
Yeah.
as soon as people are
Yeah.
registered in the app
Yeah.
and they are
Yeah. Remember that it's only part of what Jan is teaching you anyway and what he's doing with you anyway. This is just part of it, right?
But you covered a lot of principles in that part.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because what he does is not just cell phone, he gives you the overview of evangelism cycle already. What he has done is a lot of ground preparations, a lot of things, connecting with contacts, generating contacts,
Oh yes, no, yes, no. We will. You can share that. Once you've got it, you can share. You can also set up your own adverts. I mean, you don't have to just rely on ours. But you will see that one of the things that we're going to do for you, or that Dan's going to do for you, is going to create a QR code for you. And that QR code is very nice because you can do all kinds of things with that QR code. You can make T-shirts with a QR code at the back. And when people go, they can just take photos of your back and then right there on your app, and there they are, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, there's all kinds of things, but this you will get from us. You will get the link for the team. You've got your own personal link on your phone, but we will give you the team link, stuff like that. That you can, for instance, put on your Facebook pages, and then whoever clicks on that link, they will. And we also, what we're going to do is also going to make a landing page for you. Okay? We make a Facebook landing page for you. You might have your own Facebook page, that doesn't matter. But we're going to make a Facebook landing page for you. You can tell us what you want on that landing page in terms of a photo or something like that. But the other content you cannot change. But you can do, like Croatia wanted a photo of, I think, Srikvenica or something like that, one of those very nice fancy places at the sea. We put that on there. But it doesn't matter. Whatever you want there, there's little things we can do, but not much. But the general thing is to get the link out there that people need to click on. Because if you get the link on the Facebook page, it's going to take you to this landing page. This landing page is going to ask you to put in some details. Once you do that, that's going to send you onto the app. But that's very important to get that stuff done. So those things we will send you so that you, again, can make your own, but then you just copy the link, put it in there, and so on. And those links are already workable in Facebook, because otherwise links don't work in Facebook here in Europe. You can put a link in, but it doesn't work. It has to be a business transaction, must be in an advert. If it's not in an advert, a paid advert, the link doesn't work. So stuff like that. So, but we will give you the stuff that's already then workable, and then you can use it. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we do from our side that we have to make sure that it's right and ready, but then we give it to you.
Thank you very much. I think it's been a very practical, and I think we are all very excited to really start with that. Thank you very much for the for everything, all the presentations during this weekend. And yeah, maybe I just pass the phone to Elder Tonga to do a bit of the closing of our program. And we will definitely be in touch for the campaign and all the arrangements.
Thank you, Sister Christina. Pastor and Brother Jan, on behalf of the church, the other two elders are not here. They've got another commitment. So I'm doing the thank you speech on behalf of this congregation at the BISDA. I must say, we've been challenged. Have we been challenged with Brussels ISDA? Especially what you guys are saying, that the narrative that people don't want to go to a church, you must take them to a hall, and then slowly, that's challenging the very narrative that we sort of subscribe to sometimes in Europe or in the Western world. But thank you for challenging us, because that proves to us that the power of God is much stronger than human isms, yeah? Yes, human wisdom or isms, they say, oh no, you need to take people through slowly. But the Word of God cuts through all that.
Yes.
And you've just consolidated that truism to us this weekend. And thank you for challenging us to take God at His word. You know, we're going to do something big in September. We've never done this before in this congregation. And all of us have to grow in this faith process. And this intervention this weekend is critical
in preparing us for this, this faith journey that we're all going on. And thank you very much for enlightening us. Thank you for challenging us. And thank you for reminding us that we need to be connected to the Word, because that's where our power comes
Amen.
from. I believe the ladies have got something, something that's unique to Brussels or Belgium, which is chocolates, which they will, this is the gift from the
nice.
ladies and from the church to you for coming all the way from Africa and the Philippines and
Oh, wow.
to come and challenge us this
Man,
weekend.
This is going to be.
We know what Jan's wife asked for from Brussels. She didn't ask for chocolate, but she will get it. I don't know what your wife has asked from Europe, but we're glad to give you some. This time for a variation, it's vegan chocolate, so
Yes.
don't let it melt too much.
No, that we'll take care of very carefully. And I'm sure that the wife and the granddaughters are going to be crazy about this.
The question, Pastor, is will it make it back to Namibia?
I'm not going to answer that.
Well, at least we've got this on video, so we've got the evidence, right?
Yes, yes, you know. Yes. You know, and yeah, you know, so, but maybe, you know, maybe it passes Israel.
Our pastor is going to Israel tomorrow before he goes back to Namibia. So,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So, I think from us, that is, does anybody else want to share something? If not, we will close with a word of prayer. And Pastor, can you please, can I invite everybody to stand? Let's stand, and Pastor Neville will close us with a word
Yeah,
of prayer.
sure. Our Father in heaven, we are so grateful that we've had this opportunity of spending time with our brothers and our sisters here in Brussels. And Lord, we are so thankful that we can know that this is a truism, that this is really true. They are our brothers and our sisters. We are family. We are sons and daughters of you. And Lord, we really need to understand this and get to grips with this, because we are your children. We are citizens of heaven. And so we have to understand that. We have to understand that because of that, there are responsibilities that we have as your children, and we have to accept those responsibilities, and we have to be accountable for those responsibilities. So Lord, I pray that you will lead us to get to real grips with this, understand this, and in getting to grip with this, we will understand exactly what our responsibilities are. Thank you that in this way we will be ready for eternity, and that we will be encouraging people all along the way to get ready for eternity. Because we know great calamities are happening all around us, and the time to tell people that you are coming is right now. Yes, Lord, you are coming soon, and we need to be ready. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.